Samantha, I have told you that's not very ladylike.
But you told me to stick up for my rights.
Yeah, but that's when they're smaller than you.
He is smaller than me. It's not fair that boys can beat you up.
For many people, the movie was about Nell Carter and the children. However, the movie had many more unexplored areas of interest, for instance, such as how Nell used substances or how Laura Jill Miller became a lawyer. This and many more would be uncovered in this list of 20 weird facts you didn't know about from Gimme a Break. Number 20, it was one of the few sitcoms that had overweight women play lead roles. For many decades, fat people were generally considered either too lazy or people who loved to overeat. This stereotype overlooks other factors such as genetics, which significantly contribute to a person's weight. In the 90s, some movies tried to break that myth by portraying overweight characters as being much more than their weight. Gimme a Break was one of such. It featured Nell Carter as Nell Harper in the movie as the lead cast. In the movie, she is a talented singer from Tuscaloosa County, Alabama, who ran away from home when she was 18. It was there she met and became friends with Margaret Kaniski and promised to look after her family after she had died from cancer. To keep her promise, Nell then took on the role of a housekeeper and became a mother to the kids. She also often dispensed funny but strict wisdom to her employer. She would go on to become Joey Donovan's foster mother in Season 3 of the show. Nell then moved to Greenwich Village in New York City with Joey and Addie in Season 6 of the show and worked as an assistant editor for a publishing company. It was this role as Nell Harper that earned the Overweight Woman 2 Emmy nominations for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series and 2 Golden Globe nominations for Best Television Actress in a Television Series. Number 20. It was canceled after 6 seasons and 137 episodes. The American television sitcom, which was created by Mort Lachman and Cy Rosen, aired on NBC for 6 seasons from October 29, 1981 to May 12, 1987. The series starred Nell Carter as the housekeeper for a widowed police chief and his 3 daughters. The other cast members included Dolph Sweet, Carey Michelson, Laurie Hendler, Laura Jill Miller, John Hoyt, Joey Lawrence, and his brother Matthew Lawrence, Thelma Hopkins, Jonathan Silverman, and a host of other fabulous characters. After the demise of Chief, who had passed away in the 5th season, the season opened with the demise of Carl Kaniski, also known as the police chief. In many ways, the demise of Sweet marked the real end of the show, even though it continued to release episodes after his demise. It went on to produce and air 2 more seasons, and by 1985, NBC's discontent with the show had translated into their disinterest in the fate of the show. All the while, Gimme a Break showed how Nell Carter's housemaid reared the 3 white girls. However, this move looked stereotypical to members of the audience. When the show's producers were threatened with cancellation, they decided to introduce a new character as a compassionate love interest for Julie. This was where Jonathan Silverman came in. Joey's younger brother Matthew was also introduced for his looks. Suddenly, with no explanation from the producers, but to the detriment of the show, the family was moved from California to a cramped brownstone apartment in New York. At this point, they introduced Addie Wilson, who was to be Neil's next-door neighbor. When the mid-season edicts were finally distributed, Carey Michelson, Laurie Hendler, and Laura Jill Miller were informed that their services were no longer needed on the show. That is, they were fired without warning. Then, while the show was being prepared for Season 6, Rosie O'Donnell was introduced as Carter's upstairs neighbor, a dental hygienist named Maggie O'Brien. Having sold the syndication rights for $70 million, NBC decided it was time to let go. By then, they had moved on to another show named The Cosby Show, which aired from 1984 to 1992. The show Gimme a Break was thus canceled after its 6th season. Many of the audience members thought the cancellation was long overdue and had given up on watching it. One could say the new lack of interest was due to all of the changes made in the cast decision, location decision, and the alteration of cast chemistry that the audiences had initially fallen in love with. After being officially aired for the last time, it stopped airing in May 1987. Its end had a devastating impact on Nell Carter, who was inconsolable for days after the cast wrap party. She is noted to have refused to see even her close friends, but would later go on to say she did not want to be recognized only for her role on the show. Number 18. Dolph Sweet passed away while the show was still airing. The character of the police chief was a widower and father to 3 teenage children who comprised all girls. He was also the employer of Nell Harper, and the role was played by Dolph Sweet. He had played this role from 1981 till he passed away in 1985. He had undergone an unsuccessful abdominal surgery in the summer of 1984 and was diagnosed with stomach cancer during the 4th season of Gimme a Break. He, however, continued to work despite the pain and discomfort. Dolph Sweet unfortunately passed away on the 8th of May, 1985 at the age of 64. Then the last episode in which he was featured aired on the 11th of May, only 3 days after he passed, shortly after his funeral. The episode was themed Julie's birthday and was initially meant to be the season's finale, as the episode ended with a "to be continued" caption. The production team then decided to write his character out of the series due to his demise. The next season's premiere thus saw the family deal with the effects of Chief's demise rather than his reaction to Julie's sudden marriage. In response to this turn of events, Nell had to take over as the head of the household. In the opening episode, they see him reflect on electric trains, a secret passion the Chief had, which he had shared with Joey. It is then explained that the two would spend many episodes in the Chief's room playing with the trains and setting up little model towns, and just having fun with their hobby. This hobby evoked in Nell an emotional response, as he had constantly, in the last 3 months, been in denial over Chief's demise. Number 17. The Kaniskis' goldfish, Gertrude, passed away when Simpson mistakenly shot it. In Season 2, Episode 9 of the show titled Sam Faces Death, we see clearly that Nell is out of town at her cousin's funeral when Simpson rushed into the house to announce that Chief had been shot, but was all right. He then explained that Chief was mad at him because he accidentally hit him in his office when he showed a fellow officer his secret moves with his gun. Simpson then tried replicating the gun movement to the Chief's family. Unfortunately, he fired the gun once more, and this time, the bullet hit Gertrude, the family's goldfish. Soon after this, it is discovered that the Chief was on an actual assassin's radar. Simpson then granted interviews on the news and told everyone that he saved the Chief from being shot dead by the assassin's gun. The whole idea of death and assassination made Samantha edgy as she became obsessed with the notion that something new was wrong around her. She recounted that God was taking too many people around her away and behind to question why death had to take place. She later talked to Grandpa, who then told her to enjoy life, take it slowly, and not have to worry about death anymore. When Nell finally returns from her cousin's funeral, Samantha gives her full details of what had occurred in her absence, and Nell is shocked beyond words. IMDb, however, puts it that a running gag involved the Kaniskis' Gertrude. The fish died in the first episode and kept coming back in subsequent episodes. Number 16. Nell Carter suffered from cocaine dependence during the filming of Gimme a Break. During the early 1980s, the actress Nell Carter was suffering from severe dependence on alcohol and cocaine. This was a time when she was beginning to achieve professional success. She was successful on the outside, but was spiraling out of control due to substance dependence. This habit was a major concern for producers who became agitated about her escalating substance use, binge eating, rapidly fluctuating weight, and self-destructive lifestyle. This habit cost her her marriage to Georg Krenicki just 18 months after they had wed. She began experimenting with cocaine while she was in the cast of Ain't Misbehavin', and from there, it grew to an uncontrollable addiction. She estimated that when the habit peaked, she was spending between $1,000 and $2,000 a day on substances. She had even attempted suicide by overdosing on sleeping pills and champagne during her visit to see Liza Minnelli around 1984. That was not all. She also struggled with her faith. In the mid-80s, her friend, Liza Minnelli, put her on a plane that took her to a rehab clinic in Hazelden, where the many weeks of therapy helped Nell get better and lose 90 pounds after many failed attempts at rehabilitation. After this visit to Minnesota, she remained clean and expressed profound gratitude for the kind of friends she had. She said, "Thank God I got help. thank God, and Liza Minnelli. She was grateful to have had people who were concerned enough to save her life, giving her no choice in the matter. It was either she got better or she got better. They didn't ask me if I needed help. They just told me I was going to get help. I mean, we're talking heavy drugs. I had no idea how bad it was. Everybody did coke, I just did it more than other people. She is also noted to have said that hers was not a depressing story because it has a happy ending. Number 15. The movie had 2 theme songs. For the entire production, the movie made use of 2 theme songs. The first was electrifying in its wake, an ample reminder of what movie classics should be about. It was composed by Bob Christensen, while Bob Garrett and Marley Sims wrote its lyrics. This first themed song was performed by Nell Carter, who had been previously awarded a Tony Award for Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a 1978 musical for her performance in Ain't Misbehavin'. She also had been initially cast as Effie White in the Broadway musical Dreamgirls, but left the production while it was still in development. This decision stemmed from the fact that she had to take on a television role. Jennifer Holliday then replaced her as the lead character for the show in 1981. Even though she featured in Gimme a Break as Nell Harper, a housekeeper for the widowed police chief, she had a solid background in musicals, and it was only wise of the producers to use her for the theme song. In Season 3 of the series, a different theme song was introduced to the audience. This time around, the song's lyrics were written by Richard Page, who was popular from Mr. Fame, and the music was by Jay Graydon. This was the theme song that was used for the remainder of the show's seasons. The combination of these two was a wise decision, especially as they had both made strides in their different fields. As for Page, he was the lead singer of the band Mr. and was the co-writer of hit songs like Broken Wings and Kyrie. Jay Graydon is well acknowledged for some of his works that won the Grammys, including Turn Your Love Around, which was performed by George Benson, and After the Love Has Gone, which was performed by Earth, Wind and Fire, among many other songwriting or production credits to his name. The second theme song had similarities to that of the first. However, it had a little more positive attitude. Nell Carter was also chosen to perform this theme song. Number 14. Sammy Davis Jr. made an appearance on the show. Nell Harper succeeded in getting Sammy Davis Jr. to perform at a benefit for a women's group. However, when Nell called Sammy to ensure that he still remembered their schedule and was still going to make it that night, she received the most shocking news. Sammy Davis Jr. was going to be there, all right, but he was going to be there the next month. The mix-up had come up because she had not booked him directly through his agent. Instead, she had gone through one of her contacts who happened to be Nell's aunt's husband's cousin on her father's side. The woman was Sammy Davis Jr.'s jeweler. Rather than admitting the mistake to the women's group and apologizing while assuring them that the schedule would be fixed for the next month, she began to devise other means to present him to them by all means necessary. She and her friend Addie then went to a car wash to get Nell's station wagon washed. While they discussed how to get out of the situation, they eventually came up with an idea. This idea stemmed from the striking resemblance between an employee named Albert and Sammy Davis Jr. However, one major problem was that he sounded nothing like Davis Jr. However, Nell still decided to take the risk. When it became clear that he would never pass as the real Sammy Davis Jr., the real man then made an appearance, but ironically, no one believed he wasn't Albert and even got the police involved. The police chief then threatened to arrest Sammy Davis Jr. Still, by some weird twist of showing his rings, he succeeded in convincing everyone, especially when he mentioned the family's long-line connection to Nell Harper. Once the tension was doused, he and Nellie then went on stage to perform a rousing rendition of You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You. The song was written in 1944 and became a hit song in 1946. It was the actor and crooner Dean Martin who had made that song popular. This appearance in Gimme a Break was, however, the last of many scripted television show appearances where Sammy Davis Jr. appeared as himself. Number 13. Nell Carter and Joey Lawrence had a falling out. According to Rod Parker in an interview, at a point during the series, Nell Carter had a slight falling out with Joey Lawrence because she thought he was getting too much screen time. Parker believed that Carter had spoiled him for 2 solid years, and then had suddenly turned on him. Parker could not wrap his head around the falling out. He then claimed that she was not very nice to Lawrence and did not want to do much with him. Parker had them sit down with Lawrence and had numerous talks with him concerning this, especially since he had raised the child, being a professional. Parker then said he was majorly concerned about the effects Nell's intense mood swings might have had on the kids on the show. Number 12. The show birthed a real romance. A real romance stemmed from the movie production of Gimme a Break. That romance developed between Carey Michelson and Andy Gibb when he guest starred. Some reports even have it that Nell had predicted it, saying that she would soon be dating Andy Gibb, even before he came on set. Andy Gibb was a descendant of a long line of family entertainers. He was a singer, songwriter, and teen idol who became popular in the 1970s with 6 singles that reached the top 10 in the U.S. He was also the youngest of Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb of the famous pop music group Bee Gees. Carey Michelson met Andy Gibb on the set of Gimme a Break in 1983 when he became one of the show's star guests. They soon began dating, and the relationship lasted for about 2 years. Just as smoke can never be hidden, Andy's character began to show. He was using substances, and Michelson was quick to notice the troubling signs. This led to their breakup. She recounts how heartbroken she was for a while after the breakup. She recalls the immense sadness and her struggles with binge eating because she could not understand another person's confusion. Andy Gibb, however, passed away at an early age of 30 on the 10th of March, 1988. The cause of death was myocarditis. Number 11. Whitney Houston was in the show. Even before Whitney Houston released her first album, she had made a guest appearance in Season 3 of the television series Gimme a Break. It was titled Katie's College and aired on the 15th of March, 1984. She played the role of Rita, a character who planned on opening a business with Katie, who was one of the characters on the show. The character of Rita then traded lines with the series' lead character Nell Carter during the episode where she made an appearance. Although she never sang on the show, who would have thought that Whitney would become a globally acclaimed award-winning musician? Number 10. There was behind the scenes tension between Nell Carter and Rosie O'Donnell. It was reported in almost every notable column at the time that when Rosie O'Donnell joined the cast of Gimme a Break in its final season, the two did not get along. O'Donnell fueled this fire by releasing certain statements that could be considered inciting. She once said that Nell wasn't overly friendly with her, and instead of calling her by her real name while on set, she chose to call her by the name of the character she played. She would rather call her Maggie than Rosie or O'Donnell. In response to this, Nell dismissed the accusation by reiterating that she usually called all other set members by their character names as a way to help Joey and Matthew Lawrence, who were relatively young and aged 6 and 10 respectively. She aimed to ensure that they focused on their lines, remembered them, and gave better performances. O'Donnell later told interviewers that the reception she met on the show was not what she had expected when she agreed to the casting. She said that all of her excitement soon faded away as she felt snubbed by most of the show's cast. Number 9. The show's original producers were dismissed from the show. Nell had more influence in the show than we were made to believe. For one, the controversy that arose at the beginning of the show's run, causing friction between Nell and the original producers, warrants deep reflection. The show's original producers, Coleman Mitchell and Jeffrey Nayer, had clashed with Carter due to creative differences and some underlying personality conflicts. The relationship between them had gotten so strained that by the beginning of the 3rd season, Mitchell and Nayer were dismissed from the show because of this. For the next few months, Mort Lockman, the co-creator of the sitcom, served as the co-producer until the team of Rod Parker and Hal Cooper was brought in to serve as producers for the rest of the show's run. This new team was one that Carter fully stood by and respected. Due to the level of rapport she had with this team, unlike the previous one, she decided to stay on with the series Gimme a Break. Number 8. No one really knows where Glen Lawn is located. The location of Glen Lawn, where the sitcom took place before it was moved to New York City, remains one of the mysteries that came with Gimme a Break. In light of this, several contradictory positions and theories have come to light just to demystify Glen Lawn. However, fans have agreed that it was either located in Central or Northern California. In its Season 3 episode, James Returns, we are led to believe from statements that Glen Lawn is over 300 miles from Santa Barbara. However, the mayor, in an episode from the same season, shows the chief boasting that a new police car could make it to Sacramento in 23 minutes. When these statements are carefully assessed, one would easily conclude that Glen Lawn was located somewhere around Stockton. However, as if to confuse the fans, in another episode from that same Season 3, named Flashback, the town is said to be an hour away from Fresno, in the direction of Bakersfield. Still, in another episode where the exterior shooting took place, Glen Lawn is revealed as being on the ocean with palm trees. This seems to be the most reliable depiction of Glen Lawn so far, as Katie moved to San Francisco and Julie to nearby San Jose. Number 7. The tomboy Laura Jill Miller later became a lawyer. Those who remember Laura Jill Miller from Gimme a Break would probably remember her as that tomboyish girl who featured as Samantha Kaniski on the show. Although young at the time of the movie, she has since blossomed into a young woman. She has since then described herself as the young woman who never took the easy way out. This statement proved to be true when she decided to leave her passion for acting and attend college, where she first studied politics and French at New York University in 1987 and played varsity tennis. After this, she attended law school at Fordham University in New York and achieved high scores on 3 state bar exams. She also held a job as a litigator at a small Manhattan law firm. However, one day, while she stood before a jury in a lawsuit involving an auto accident that had occurred 2 years prior, something happened. When she asked to confirm if they knew her or her firm, the response she received tilted her toward returning to her passion, which she asserts was acting. This incident led her to decide, after practicing law for 15 months, to quit. She subsequently returned to Los Angeles to attempt a comeback in acting. In her words, "Law wasn't my passion, acting was. I love show business. I always did." Number 6. The ratings sank even further from the 5th season. Even though Gimme a Break was usually ranked at least in the top 40 during its first 4 seasons, the demise of Dolph Sweet changed that narrative. From the 5th season, the producers were faced with a dilemma to either cancel the series or renew it for a 6th season with significant changes. At the beginning of the 1986 to 1987 season, Katie relocated to San Francisco, while Julie, Jonathan, and baby Nell moved to San Jose. Even Samantha attended college in New Jersey. Even Addie got a job in New York City, and Grandpa, Nell, and Joey came to New York to join her. It was there that they discovered Joey's irresponsible father, Tim. Then, Nell's mama Maybelle was seen in more recurring roles, starting from Season 6. Yet, despite the changes, the ratings continued to decline as NBC tried moving the show around to various spots in its schedule. The show's Season 6 averagely at number 42 in the Nielsen ratings, a rating 7 places higher than in its 3rd season. Eventually, Gimme a Break was canceled in the spring of 1987. Number 5. It was the first show in NBC's Star Thursday night lineup. NBC came up with the name Must-See TV to brand its primetime blocks. However, this name did not come up until the 1990s and is most often associated with the network's Thursday night lineup. This lineup features some of the most popular NBC sitcoms and drama series of the time. It was this lineup that enabled the network to dominate the primetime ratings on Thursday nights in the 1980s and 1990s. The fall of 1981 was the very first time NBC attempted to create a 2-hour comedy block on Thursday nights that fit into the 8 to 10 p.m. slot. As of 1982, NBC's empire was crumbling. This was during its last season with Taxi before the movie moved over to ABC. They then had no choice but to retain Fame, a show that lasted for only 2 seasons, and Cheers, a movie that came in last place at the Nielsen ratings. NBC, however, renewed the contract because there was no other movie to replace it with. By 1983, the Thursday night lineup was anchored by Gimme a Break, a season 2 of the low-rated Cheers movie, and a show called We Got It Made that later got moved to Saturdays by Winter and was replaced with Mama's Family and Buffalo Bill. Number 4. Nell's portrayal of maternal instincts was real. Many accounts support the fact that Nell was not just a maternal figure in the show, she also displayed maternal love and affection for the girls, even off camera. Of the three girls, Laura Jill Miller was the closest to her. Laura, who had played the role of the tomboy Samantha Kaniski at a young age of 14, recalls that she dreaded her sessions with the hairstylist, especially because of the smoke that came out of her head. She also recalled never being close to any of the young co-stars or to Sweet, who sadly passed away due to cancer in 1985, even if on the show he was her father. However, she also clearly remembers bonding with Broadway veteran Nell Carter. She recounted during an interview days of them dining at Denny's and playing Pac-Man. The feeling was definitely mutual, as Nell also once said, "Jill was my little girl." She also mentioned that Nell influenced her choices too. In her words, "Like you saw in the camera, I was her baby. I loved her, I adored her, and she loved me, and she spoiled me. She also made me wear a dress to the Emmys." When she's asked about her fondest memories from the 6 years working on the project, she says, "I remember the fun times in the rehearsal studios, and making popcorn, and playing wiffle ball in the hallways with the sound guys, and climbing up the carpeted walls and onto the sound booms. Also, all the great lunches with Nell at Denny's across the street, and playing lots of Pac-Man with her. I loved rehearsals. I loved hearing her sing." Number 3, the cast performed an episode without a major incident. The episode tagged Cat Story was performed and broadcast live on the 2nd of March, 1985. This episode was created as a promotional gimmick for the movie, during which the cast performed without any major incidents. The reason for this move was that a previous episode named Baby of the Family ranked number 38 on TV Land's list of the 100 most unexpected television moments. In this episode, Joey could be seen dressing and performing in blackface at Nell's church benefit. Samantha had perfectly hatched this plan to retaliate for Nell, having forbidden her from going on an unchaperoned camping trip. Number 2, the series featured several celebrities. In the 6 years of the movie's premiere, a handful of celebrities graced its set. Some of them include singers like a younger version of Whitney Houston, Andy Gibb, Sammy Davis Jr., Ray Parker, and the Pointer Sisters. These celebrities not only made appearances, they also sometimes performed a song with Nell on the episodes they featured in. For instance, during the 3rd season, Pat Sajak Guest starred as himself when Nell and her friend Addie were contestants on Wheel of Fortune. The other celebrities who featured include Milton Berle, Gary Hudson, Danny Glover, Elizabeth Berkley, Rue McClanahan, Tony Randall, Helen Hunt, Don Rickles, Gwen Verdon, Dennis Haysbert, and Ernie Hudson. Number 1. The 3 teenage Kaniski girls are alive and have moved on. However, Nell Carter is late. One thing that remains undeniable by anyone who has ever seen Gimme a Break is the undeniable bond between Nell Harper, the housekeeper, and the 3 Kaniski girls. Although her decision to look for them stemmed from a promise, her commitment and devotion, however, are laudable. So, where they all are today, as well as what each of the 4 characters has been up to, Nell Carter played the housekeeper Nell Harper, who balanced her responsibilities well with her maternal instincts and quick humor. She played her role so well that she received 2 Golden Globes and 2 Emmy nominations. Shortly after the series ended, she started her own sitcom, You Take the Kids, and guest starred in various television shows and films, including Hanging with Mr. Cooper and Reba. Nell Carter sadly passed away in 2003 at the age of 54, with her body being discovered by her son. She had, before her demise, suffered from diabetes and other health-related issues. As for Carrie Michelson, she is currently age 63 years old and played the role of Katie Kaniski, the eldest of the 3 daughters, for seasons 1 to 5. By the late 1980s, she had stepped away from acting and, in the years after Gimme a Break, went to study business and finally decided on motivational speaking and media work. She also serves as a host and brand ambassador and has been involved in business seminar programs as a motivational speaker. Laurie Hendler, on the other hand, is currently 60 and played the middle daughter, Julie Koniski, from seasons 1 through 5. After the show stopped airing, she continued acting, even though on a more modest scale. She has also done voice acting for video game characters and animated projects, like in the Saints Row series. Laura Jill Miller, on the other hand, is currently 58 and portrayed the youngest daughter named Samantha Koniski, whom we see go from childhood to her teens. When Gimme a Break stopped airing, she pursued a career in education, politics, and French, majored in law, and eventually returned to entertainment, doing what she referred to as her passion. The support of the community can never be underrated. It can take the least to the greatest and vice versa. For everyone, there is that one time you truly just want to shout, "Gimme a break." This movie is a reminder that doing just that is choosing yourself above all else. Which of these facts is new to you? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.